Are you causing yourself more suffering by shooting the second arrow? Have you ever noticed that when something happens that you can't control, you can sometimes make it worse? Satnam, this is Shiv, the Feel Better Coach. Welcome to the Naked Truth Shower Talks. I'm standing here in my naked truth to share with you so that together we can shed the layers that are holding us back from being ourselves and thrive in the world. This is one of my favorite Buddhist teachings, is the teachings of the second arrow, shooting the second arrow. And it asks, are you shooting the second arrow? So what the teachings say is that the first arrow is the event, the thing that happens to you, right? Or the thing that happens. And then the second arrow of suffering is the one that we then shoot, right? And so a theme this week that, that's why I wanted to make this video. I've talked about this teaching before, but of course it's relevant at all times. And even when we know it, practicing it is quite another. That's why it's called a practice, not a perfection. So it's good to remind ourselves, myself included, of how many times we do this. And one of the biggest ways that we do this is that something happens or we do something and then we say, and I was so stupid. That's one of the biggest arrows we shoot. How often have you said that? How often have you been telling someone, your coach, your friend, your loved one, about something that you've done, and maybe you're very hurt over it, maybe it's a very challenging time for you, and then you shoot that second arrow of how stupid you are, right? Mindfulness will tell us that to be with what is rather than what we would like to be. Now that doesn't mean that we've got to embrace our pain and sit there and be like, this is great. But on the other hand, it kind of does, right? Of being there and being present with it. And so when something happens, do start to be kind to yourself. Don't shoot that second arrow. Learn from it by all means. Do something different next time by all means. But be kind to yourself in the process. Because really, there's very few times any of us are not doing the best that we can with what we have at the time. And sometimes we fuck it up and it comes back on us. And that's okay. It doesn't make you stupid. It makes you very, very human. So be kind to yourself, because we're not here for perfection. We're here for practice. They say practice makes perfect. Just keep practicing. We don't need to be perfect. We just need to practice. We have ourselves all wrapped up in perfection and what that means. And really, all we need to do is get down and practice and be kind to ourselves along the way. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Where do you shoot the second arrow and cause yourself more suffering than you need? What can you do to stop yourself from doing that? How can you be kinder to yourself? I'd love to know. Leave your answer down below and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Share it with a friend if you know somebody who this might resonate with. Perhaps they cause a lot of suffering, and it's a very subconscious thing. It's nobody's fault. We don't know until we know, right? So then we can look and say, oh gosh, I do that. Or my friend Jenny's always saying how stupid she is, and I think she's one of the most brilliant people that I know. Maybe this teaching might have an effect for her. You know, the Buddhist teachings have been around for a very long time for a reason. They're very applicable to daily life, and they are very adaptable. So coming from Tibet, but here in America, here in the West, still many of them so adaptable for our daily lives. And sometimes it can just be the salve that we need. You know, we get irritated by so many things in life. Sometimes we need a little salve. And sometimes we need to remind ourselves of what Rumi says. If you're irritated by every rub, how will you ever become polished? So between that quote and shooting the second arrow and the awareness, maybe the next time something happens to you, you won't get spun out and you'll be able to better sit with it and be centered in it, and be able to look after yourself along the way and not get lost. So I'd love to hear your thoughts. This is Shiv with the Feel Better Life. Really, I can't think of anything better to pursue than a life that feels better in body, mind, and spirit. That's what we're here for. I'm so happy to have you here. Sat Nam.